Hey guys! So I have already created a video on how to solve one-step equations involving addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So today what I'm going to do is show you a couple examples of how to solve two-step equations, which will involve a variety of addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. So they're kind of all thrown together, and that's why we have multiple steps. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple examples today, and then you can try it on your own. So I've got my first example up on the board. It's 2x minus 6 equals 12. Notice that this equation is longer than the examples I used in my video of solving one-step equations. So because it's longer, we are seeing multiple operations here. We are going to have multiple steps to solve this problem. So I've got a co-host with me today. This is Peanut, and she is just going to be observing just like you guys are and learning how to solve two-step equations. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this problem and see what operations am I dealing with. So when you have a number next to a variable, that means multiplication. So 2x means I have 2 times x. Then I notice I have a subtraction sign, so I have subtraction, multiplication and subtraction in this problem. Okay, now I'm going to look at this, and the first thing you need to do is you need to remember that the variable needs to be by itself at the very end on one side of the equal sign, and all the numbers need to be on the other side. Okay, that is our goal. Always have the goal in mind. So for this example, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to combine all my constants, and constants are the numbers up here that don't have variables. So when I look at this, I notice that the minus 6 and the 12 are 2 terms in this equation where neither of them have a variable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to underline both of these because I want to combine those ones first. Now, in the other video, I had said that in order to decide which one to move, you move the one that's closest to the variable. Because remember, we want to get the numbers on the other side away from the variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the minus 6 to the other side. Now, if you remember what I said in the last video, in order to move a minus 6, you do the opposite and you add 6. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So now I'm going to bring down anything I haven't used. So the 2x, I have not used that yet. The minus 6 and the plus 6, they cancel out, like I talked in my last video. And the equal sign comes down, and then 12 plus 6 gives me 18. So that's one step. Here's the second step. The reason why we need a second step is because my variable is not alone. 2 times x equals 18. I know that I need to move the 2 and get it to the other side, away from the variable. Since it's multiplication, I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide by 2 on this side, and to keep the balance of the equation, I'm going to divide by 2 on the other side as well. So over here, I know that 2 divided by 2 is just 1, so they cancel out, and all I'm left with is my variable. I'm going to bring down my equal sign. Then 18 divided by 2, and I know that is 9. I circle my answer because I know that now I have my variable on one side all by itself and the number on the other side. So that's all right. For example number 2, I have d divided by 3 plus 5 equals 15. Always remember, when you see d over 3, it's not really a fraction. In this case, I'm looking at it as d divided by 3. So let's get started. Just like last time, I know in the back of my head, my goal is to get the variable on one side of the equal sign and then the numbers on the other side. So looking at this, I'm going to identify which 2 numbers are the constants. Remember, constants do not have a variable with them. So I look at this and I see that 5 doesn't have a variable and 15 also doesn't have a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them. In this case, I'm going to move the plus 5 because it's on the same side as my variable, and I know I want to get everything away from that variable. Since I have a plus 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. What you do to one side, you do the other. So that's kind of a review. This step right here is a review from the last video. What I'm left with on this side is the d divided by 3 because I haven't touched that yet. Notice how I rewrite my steps every time. That is such a lifesaver. You make less mistakes if you just rewrite it every time. 5 minus 5 gives me 0, so those two cancel out. Bring down my equal sign. 15 minus 5 is 10. So now I'm left with d divided by 3 equals 10. This was the first step up here. Now we're ready for the final step. Remember, this is two-step problems. D divided by 3 equals 10. I have division. I want to get rid of that 3 and take it to the other side. I'm going to do the opposite of division, and I'm going to multiply by 3. If I multiply by 3 on this side, I have to multiply by 3 on the other side. I know that those 3's are going to cancel out. Again, refer to my last video when I talked about that a little more in depth. All I'm left with is my variable. 10 times 3 is 30. So D would equal 30. And if you second guess yourself, take the 30, plug it back in to the original problem, and simplify. 30 divided by 3 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 does equal 15. So I'm good. I know that for sure I am correct, and D equals 30. So just remember, variable on one side, numbers on the other side. Also, combine the constants first. What doesn't have a variable? Push those two together, move them so they are with each other, and then deal with that number that's connected with the variable. So there's always two steps. Combine the constants, then deal with the number that's next to the variable. It takes practice. It's fine if you're not perfect at first. It takes practice. Right, Peanut? All right. So Peanut's hungry, so I'm gonna go and give her a snack, but good luck.